Good afternoon or good morning, good day. It's Jan Denning here from the Hospitality Partnership. I hope you're all doing really well. There's certainly an air of excitement and optimism within our industry now, which is really good after the not so good few months that we've been through. So yeah, onwards and upwards, that light is shining brightly. Anyway, today I'm going to start the chat with a few questions for you, and please do consider the answers. First, are you meeting your revenue targets? Do you have cash to invest in the delivery of your business goals? Cash is really important now, and the lack of it. Can your business afford the cost of key specialist areas delivered by your suppliers? Really important one. Have you developed and implemented a sustainable and climate change policy? Okay. So interested to know what your answers are on those few questions. And today we're going to be chatting to the guy that can really help you answer yes to those questions. So we're chatting with Steve Bates from Auditel, and Steve is our procurement specialist. And he can make you answer yes to all of those questions. He can increase your profitability. He can save you money. How good is that? And he'll allow you to focus on your business. So Steve, hi, please introduce yourself.
Hello. So yes, I'm Steve Bates. I'm a procurement specialist, and I have done procurement in the corporate world for 38 years, and then decided that I would take my skill set into my own business. In terms of my experience, I've done procurement in both the buying side, but also the selling side. So I've kind of sold goods and services to clients dealing with their procurement organizations. So I've dealt with procurement both sides of the table, which I think is a really good skill set to have. And what I do now is part of the Auditel network is I've got access to 100 procurement specialists, right? Just think of that, 100 people that are out there that I can work with that can help businesses save money on loads of different cost categories, and I like to say from anything from energy to builders, merchant supplies, anything from mobile phones to live chickens and everything in between.
That's a fair amount then. So is it fair to say then that because you're a procurement specialist, procurement is just about buying? Is that all it is?
A lot of people think it's just about buying. You know, it's a posh word for buying is what I sometimes hear. And I must admit, when I started doing procurement as a young man, when I started off on my career, I didn't really know what procurement was myself, but I quickly learned. And one of the things that you do, you know, that procurement is it's important to understand about procurement is that it covers such a wide range of things. Procurement is always in the news these days. There's lots of examples of procurement things that may have gone wrong in the public sector, but it's always there. The main thing about procurement is that it starts with the spec. You've got to get your quality statement right, because if you don't get that bit right as to what it is you want, you could do a brilliant job with the rest of it, like negotiating with suppliers and getting the best prices. You will end up with something that doesn't meet your needs. And that'll either be it's overspecified and you spend too much, or it's underspecified, in which case you're incurring lots of costs to put it right. So spec is the most important thing. Then you've got the quantity. How many do you buy of something? You know, get the right amount, because if you don't buy enough, you're going to not be able to meet your customers' needs. If you buy too much, you end up, well, where do I store it all? And in fact, maybe it'll go off and perish, especially in the hospitality sector, and you can't use it. And that's wasted money as well. And you've also got to make sure it's delivered to the right place. You also have to understand where it's come from. What does your supply chain look like? You don't want to be one of those businesses that suddenly is in the news because you're dealing with a supplier that's got suspect working practices, for example. the final thing really is about the price. So you get all these other things right about quality, where it's the place, the timing, and the amount that you buy. Get all that right, and then it's a level playing field to focus on the price. But if you go for price first, you'll end up with the result you don't want. So procurement is about getting all that right.
Yeah, so it's about that quality plan then, the for procurement, not just the, oh yeah, you seem like a good deal, here's the money. So then, Steve, should you review suppliers, or because you know Dave the butcher, just stick with him, or should you review suppliers? And again, what's the benefit of reviewing your suppliers?
The benefit of that is that you stay on top of what's going on in your marketplace. You don't want to keep on renewing with the same suppliers necessarily, because you may not be getting the best deal. There might be new suppliers that are out there, or suppliers that have been around for a while that you just don't know about, right? And if you can actually do a really good job at understanding your marketplace, what's going on in the market, and secondly, understanding who the suppliers are that are in that market. And you might be able to find, if you do a bit of research in those areas, you might be able to find new suppliers that maybe have more modern processes, for example, and maybe a lower cost base, who can do you a better job. So it's really important that you don't just keep renewing with the same suppliers. You might end up doing that, but you're doing it from a position of knowledge rather than just you haven't got the time to look at the rest, what's going on.
That's what I was going to say actually about that. So often you hear that, yeah, I would like to review my suppliers or my products or whatever, but do you know what? I'm running a hotel, I'm running a restaurant, I don't have the time to do that. So I guess then the answer to that is come to you. You don't need to be there 5 days a week, you know, every week of the year. You do the exercise for you, set the processes in place, and they use you as and when they need you, presumably.
Absolutely. And the fact that I've got access to 100 people in my network means that I can bring all sorts of expertise into play to help with the hospitality client. So, and the way I work is that we do all the work, right? All the sort of detailed work, running procurement processes, looking at the market, looking at the suppliers, we do all of that. But the strategic decisions around, you know, switching to a new supplier, that won't happen unless the client agrees. So we don't sort of impose new supply arrangements on the client. They have to agree to it, but we'll manage all that for them. And we'll also, once we've placed the contract, we will manage the contract on behalf of the client as well. So we will make sure that the bills are right. We'll make sure that the performance is right. We'll make sure that they're managing to meet their contractual obligations. So all that we will manage for them. It's like we're a member of their procurement team, acting for their best interests.
Yeah, but it's going to save them money, of course. And
yes,
you just touched on it, but I think that this is really important, that the customer, the client, always stays in control. You know, you don't just go off and do your own thing. It's entirely, you know, it's what they want to do. You're just going to deliver the best cost-saving prices for them.
Absolutely. And our focus is totally on acting client side. So we're doing what's best for the customer, not what's best for the suppliers.
Yeah. So, you know, all that time then that's saved, or if that, you know, the general manager hasn't had time to do it, or the chef hasn't had time to do it or whatever, presumably by just employing you for the time that's needed, he'll actually save money on all of those savings that he's made as more than paid for your service, I would imagine.
Yeah, so the savings come really from two areas. One is there's a cost saving because we can do the whole of market assessment. And bearing in mind what I said earlier about quality, it has to start with quality, but we will get you get the businesses the best value for money. That will be the thing. And then the second saving is a time saving, which when you've got busy hotel owners or general managers, and they're getting involved in the detail of procurement and supply chain activities, wouldn't it be great for them to stop doing that and they can focus on their key priorities and become better businesses themselves. Now, who would have thought this is procurement helping businesses to grow? Because often people think of procurement as just a cost line, right? But actually, it's more than a cost line. It's an added value line, because it's freeing up time so you can focus on other things that are more important to you to grow your business, especially with hospitality, because they've really suffered badly in 2020. Their revenues are pretty much non-existent. Their balance sheets are really badly damaged, and they've got to find a way of rebuilding that. And I can help with that activity.
Yeah, so on that that business plan and that profit and loss line, then it needs to be about that cost saving line.
Yes.
What was the other one that you said? So there needs to be the two lines on there: cost savings and that
added value,
and the added value. Absolutely. So get that on your P&Ls, everyone. And also, and you kind of touched on it, by using you as their procurement specialist, it gives that maybe independent business more buying power because of the connections that you have. So they get to enjoy that, if they're working as a small group or an independent organisation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And, making cost savings is so important for businesses, especially in the hospitality sector, because they've been going through survival mode. Right, and costs have actually fallen for them because they're in survival mode. But what happens when you start trading again? How do you keep the costs from coming back, or which ones do you let in? And that's like what I call the cost gate. And you need a good, robust process to make sure that you let the costs in that you need to, because you're a trading business and you want to grow, but you keep other costs out from coming back in. And if you can keep your costs under control, that will help you with your profitability, because costs go directly to your profit line. And how much do you need to grow your business in order to deliver the same amount of profit increase? It's a very, very powerful way of improving your profits.
Yeah, and it was actually that when I first met you that really just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, really, because to me it was always like, oh God, to be more profitable, you've just got to keep getting more sales in, and getting thrashed when you didn't meet that sales target. Can you explain to us then how you can still be, and I've got the formula here, because it's just, it's just brilliant for anybody to see. And again, I can share this on the video at the end of the download, but just explain how being more profitable can be more beneficial than those sales that you've got to keep getting in.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a profit and loss is based on money that you earn as revenue and costs that you pay out as costs. And therefore, there are really only two ways that you can improve your profits. You either reduce your costs or you increase your revenue. Now, that's a theoretical position, right? In the sense that I would never advocate just control your cost base and do nothing else, because if you cut too far, you'll stop your ability from growing your business. So you've got to have a managed cost reduction on your cost base, and you'd end up doing both, right? But I would argue that reducing your costs, right, if you do reduce your costs, that goes straight to your bottom line. There's no doubt about it, because it's one part of the formula for calculating profit. You can grow your profit by the same amount through increasing your revenue, but the problem with that is that increasing your revenue brings in more costs, right? And by doing, and typically the factor might be fourfold, that if you reduce your cost by, I don't know, 50,000, that will have the same impact as increasing your revenue by, say, 200,000. Which of those is easier to achieve? Yeah, it's and you need, in reality, you need a combination of both to make that work out.
Yeah, I think we'll share this then, because that's it.
Yeah.
The scenario, really. Increase your sales by 25%.
Yes.
Reduce your costs by 11%.
Yes.
And the profit will be the same. it just seems like, God, what's the easiest then? As long as you've got a specialist to do it for you, you know. And I know that hit really hard with me. So we'll share this document actually as well. So yeah, really important. Okay, so can you help with, I know that you can help with loads of different processes which are really important. How about automated systems? Because people are now going towards automated systems. Can you help and advise on the automated systems?
Well, automation is quite a big debate within procurement at the moment, and the pandemic has kind of made it even more important. And I think that for the future, and I'll just talk generally about businesses, they need to automate their procurement because it will help them reduce their costs of primarily the staff in managing the procurement processes in their business. And if you can become more efficient and effective through automation, that will ultimately not only reduce your cost base, but help free up time. Again, it's that sort of freeing up time so you can focus on your key strategies as a business. And there are lots of different options for how you automate your procurement. You know, a good starting point will be implement a purchase to pay system, which you can buy these days on a per user basis with a subscription at quite a low price, and that will allow you to manage initially how you do, you know, you've got your purchase order, and then that purchase order becomes a delivery, and then that delivery needs to be paid, and how it's all signed off and managed. That's a good way of starting with automation, but there are sort of procurement platforms out there that can also be used to help your business. And of course, e-commerce platforms as well, where you can actually sell directly online.
Yeah, brilliant. So if you're a CEO, if you're a general manager, if you're director of finance, we would suggest to speak to you then and just see how they can help with those costs. Yeah, would you say that's the message?
I would love a conversation with any people that are responsible for the financial performance of their hospitality business. I'd love to have a chat. I can actually start with a review, no obligation review of your expenditure, just to kind of give you a feel on whether you're getting best value for money from your spend.
It's well worth doing then, isn't it? What have you got to lose? So kind of, right, we're rounding up now on the chat, but I couldn't let you go because I saw that you went global this week. Okay, and it was great to see your face and see your article in Supply Management magazine, which is a global magazine. Tell us about it.
Well, it's kind of happened quite strangely. So I've been posting quite regularly on LinkedIn, and then as a result of that, the editor of the Supply Management magazine, which is the professional body for professionals in procurement, comes out every 3 months. She contacted me and said, I was interested in your article that you posted. Would you be prepared to write something a little bit more detail, all about how important it still is to manage your cost base in procurement in your business? Because there's a lot of debate about other bits, and it's all very valid stuff. Procurement can help with all sorts of things, like how to get a more sustainable supply chain, making sure that you're dealing with ethical companies as well. All that is valid, but at the end of the day, a business will want to make sure that their cost base is under control. So she wanted me to write an article. I did it. It appeared on Saturday when the magazine dropped through the letterbox, and it's created quite a bit of traffic on LinkedIn ever since. So it was really good. After subscribing to the magazine for 25 years, for the first time I was in it.
All that work has been worthwhile. You have been recognised. Yeah, I saw it. I thought, oh, God, this is brilliant. And then the fact that it was global as well. So good for you. So on that note, from our global procurement specialist, I don't know why I'm doing that as if he's right next to me. I should be doing that.
World's next to you.
But from our global procurement specialist, which is Steve Bates from Auditel, we will leave it there. We will put all the details of how to contact Steve and more about the hospitality partnership below on this link. And as Steve said, just speak to him. You have nothing to lose, but an awful lot to gain, and it doesn't cost anything for doing that, but it could save you a lot of money. And more than the money, it will just take away the headache of all the work that's involved, so that you can do other things. So that's it. That's me, Jan, from the Hospitality Partnership, and our associate partner, Steve, from Auditel, associate partner of the Hospitality Partnership, signing out for now. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.